Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Clear the Ice show. That's right, the Flyers postgame show live and direct on the It's a Rap Sports Network with your boy Matty B and Pat Bernard on the call tonight as we are going to present to you the 2025-26 Philadelphia Flyer preview spectacular. That's right, that's that time of the year. The calendar will flip tomorrow. 9 days till puck drop. The Flyers will get it going on October 9th in Florida against the two-time defending Stanley Cup champion Panthers. And we're going to get you set for that tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about what we think, what are the Flyers as we enter the third year of an all-out rebuild? And what are your expectations for that third year? There's multiple theories about where this team should be headed. There's multiple points of view and all that. And we're going to share ours tonight. Mike Laro will be on a little bit later, I think. He's running late. So when he hops on, he'll get in. So without further ado, Pat, how you doing?
Well, buddy, oh pal, I think the last time I saw you, we were going back and forth about the Eagles, but we're not here to discuss the Eagles. We're not here to discuss Phillies. This is predicated on the Philadelphia Flyers and where they're going to stand in our minds for the upcoming season. So this should be an interesting season for sure, nonetheless, because this is year one of Rick Tocchet. So it's curious. I know there's a lot of Tocchet fans out there wanting to see him get behind the bench and coach his team from the his past regime being with what's up, Joey? Being with the Penguins and him having success out there, him coaching, a couple other teams and so forth, making to the playoffs with the Coyotes, as we know, and Vancouver, and see if you could bring some of that success over to here and see what he does with the Flyers.
Yes, but Pat, I prescribe that you could put a scarecrow behind the bench. And if you don't got talent, on the ice, Pat, I don't care. I dare I say you could coach the Flyers if you don't got talent. So Rick Tocchet, now there is one thing about Tocchet I will say. It is definitely going to be a night and day effect from Tortorella as the disciplinarian, the iron fist, the my way or the highway type attitude is gone. Sean Couturier, of course, taking no time but throws shots and arrows at his former head coach by stating that he's talked to Tocchet more in the last month than he spoke to Tortorella in the last 3 years and all that type of stuff. So there should be maybe a looser, more creative flow of play from this team. And I think that that's exactly what you should have at this stage of the rebuild. But I honestly don't care who's behind the bench. I really don't. To me, the problems with this hockey team are completely on the ice or maybe not problems, but the shortcomings. And we're going to get into some of those tonight and obviously give our opinions. But before we do move on, let's put to bed the John Tortorella stuff, Pat. I know you weren't the biggest Tortorella guy, and I know you definitely didn't think Tortorella belonged here. He was the wrong guy at the wrong time. But after it's all said and done now, Pat, are the Flyers better or worse for having gone through John Tortorella?
Yeah, know what? I didn't like the hire at first. Me and Mike Lauer were ripping our hairs out when we heard the initial hire of John Tortorella, but then you understood a little bit of his message. I get it. He was that rough guy. I mean, going from AV to John Tortorella you didn't really get much of a difference, but there was some, he was trying to change the culture, and there was some things that were positive and all that stuff. And he was just trying to make this team tougher and all that other things. But in ultimate reality, his message ran out, and he came out public and said, I can't take a losing team like this. He pretty much threw his whole team under the bus, and his whole team didn't want to talk to him no more. So, more and more revealed when he, was let go. And a couple days after that, Kane Moore had some things to say, and he had some things to say about his whole team. So more, they pulled back the curtain just a little bit more, and they found out they just weren't meant to be. It was just never meant to mesh. And this was the first coach under the Danny Barrere tenure that he had to let go. Now this is a new one he had to bring in.
Yeah, and don't forget, he didn't hire him. Tortorella was not a Barrere hire. And as far as the end of his time, I think there's been some Tortorella was attempted to shed some light on the infamous comment made in Toronto back in March. He said, yes, I didn't sign up to coach this type of hockey. What he said was, the type of hockey that's losing hockey, not necessarily because of the player, but because of him failing as the head coach. Now, that is what he said. And it was taken out of context. Obviously, it was taken out of context by everybody because of the situation. I think they lost the game 7-2 or something like that, or 7-1. It was a blowout. And then the whole Cam York thing, that was a dust up during the game. There was a physical altercation inside the locker room during the game between coach and defenseman. So, and York was one of those players who probably will benefit the most without Tortorella being around, as he was in and out of the doghouse all season. Couturier, Mitch Koff, Forrester. I mean, you name it. There was a lot of players that were sort of in his crosshairs, York being one of the major ones. And I'm definitely looking for a bounce back year from Cam York. Not to say that York didn't deserve it. And that's the thing, Pat. When Tortorella came here, this was during the misleading of Chuck Fletcher, and it was the building was burning down around John Tortorella and everybody else. There was nothing salvageable here. The culture was bad. The team was bad. The product was bad. Everything was bad. Tortorella brings out the lease on life to take over the rebuild, and he started from square one with young players, and he said it himself, I'm coaching them to be pros. Now, whether or not he didn't sort of kind of lighten up as we went on and as they got better, he gave them more liberty. Obviously he didn't, because creativity was what it was, and the players were benched for somewhat thinking on their own at times because they weren't following his system. But I think overall Tortorella was a necessary evil for this team to have gone through, and I think it would benefit them in the long run.
I can't believe it. I agree with you, Matt. He wasn't, maybe because he was, I don't know, old school is the right word for it. I mean, he didn't do anything bad when he benched Mitzkov, and everyone was looking at him like, why is he benching him? And he didn't do it to bench him just to bench him. He just want him to sit back, look at the game from the press box, and see it from an outside view, and see what you're doing wrong with it. You can make your game better. And if you remember, that time he benched him and plugged him back into the game, he had a night to remember. He was always off the leash, plug and play, and he showed you his power. And again, I think you're right. I think this was the necessary evil that this team needed. He rubbed players the wrong way, absolutely, but he didn't care. He toughened this team up. Like you said, the unnecessary evil that this team needed. This was the wake-up call that this team needed. And look, at the end of the day, I like them, and I'm okay with John Tortorella wherever he lands.
Wayne says goaltending and defense wins Stanley Cups. I think we are a while from that. That sentiment is shared by a lot of people, Wayne, and you're absolutely correct. The Flyers are light years away from that, if that's indeed correct. Well, we're going to get into that. He'd be happy to see the Flyers back in the playoffs, and we're definitely going to talk about that. But yeah, let's put to bed the Tortorella thing. Let's move on. Rick Tocchet is your new head coach. He comes in here from under somewhat, suspicious circumstances in Vancouver. Things went bad for him there. There was some stuff said in the locker room, some trust issues, some loyalty issues that sort of were floating around there. But whatever, he's now here, and he brings that fresh approach that, and I'm not even going to waste time with the former Flyer nonsense. I think it's all nonsense. I'm not. Your GM's a former Flyer. Your president of hockey operations is a former Flyer. It is what it is. That's what they do, and that's what they do. So he's going to take over this team. But what team is he taking over, Pat? Here we go. I don't know what team he's taking over. Listen, the Flyers finished last season two different ways. They finished 28, 36, and 9 under Tortorella for 65 points. And in the final 9 games of the year, they were 5-3-1 for 11 points under Brad Shaw. Remarkably, a little bit of a different style of play for the final 9 games. I think all that was like 76 points. They didn't make the playoffs for a 5th straight year. And if you're doing the math at home, and if you know anything about this organization, they have never not made the playoffs for 6 straight years, folks. Flyers have never, as a franchise, not made the playoffs for 6 years. And we are on the cusp of perhaps setting a new franchise record here this year. But they bring in Trevor Zegras from the Anaheim Ducks as one of their major offseason moves. They had a little bit of cap room this summer to make some moves. We'll get into some of the other players here in a second, but let's talk about the young man from Anaheim who former 6th overall pick for the Ducks a few years back, never quite got going. People want to say, well, he had injury issues. Well, not really. I mean, he had, bad luck injury, not chronic injury issues like torn ligaments and stuff like that. He just got, it's bad luck. But whatever you want to call it, he never quite got going in Anaheim. He'll now join the Flyers. 57 games last year, 12 goals for 20 assists, 32 points, and a ripe -8. Pat, one of our weakest areas in this hockey team is up the middle and center. Does Trevor Zegras check that scoring center block for you?
You know what? Again, just being a little optimistic because, again, depending what line, but if he gets somehow like the mush up with maybe the Tyson Forsters, I mean, you could see a little play action going on there. You could possibly see, again, if you look at his assists, he's obviously an assist guy. He can facilitate the puck pretty decent, 20 assists. I know it's not bell alarming or anything like that, but you know what? If he can set up shots for a Tyson Forster or a Mitchkov, you know what? I'm just getting a little excited.
Yeah, we'll get into the line combinations because I think the Flyers have a problem. And the problem is there's still no true number one centerman on this hockey team. I mean, it's a glaring need over the last 3 seasons, and yet it has not been addressed at all, either through the draft or through free agency or through trades. Now, Zegras, is he a number one center? Not on his best day is he a number one center.
No.
He's not. That's not what he is. He's a 2. And but on this team, he may be a 1 because they're going to want to put all the offensive eggs in one basket. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see Zegras on a line that consists of, it could be him, Konechny, and Mitchkov. Or more appropriately, what they're probably going to do to him is put him down on that second line with Tippett and Mitchkov. But that's the problem with this team, Pat. We're, again, still in a situation where we don't have a true number one center. So here you go. You're trying to build your lines. And you don't even know where to start.
Yeah, that's going to have to be a problem for the front office again.
But, Pat, it's been a problem for the past 3 years. Why has it not been addressed?
I don't know. This is I don't know why the general manager of this team just goes like you said, he kind of goes forward and captain heavy and doesn't even know where to start at. I mean, you would think it would by now it would be Travis Konechny would be your number one cap, but no, it's just this. Or I'm sorry, Coots. Well, he's supposed to be your captain, but no, there's no real true centerman of this squad, and like you said, that's scary when you, like I said, 3 years under the Dana Breer era, and we've yet to have a true number one, centerman, and that's still scary. So I don't know what direction is. Like you said, it kind of hurts the franchise. We still don't know what direction we're going to, but like you said, this is still part of the rebuild. I guess you can just throw something in the wall and see what sticks.
Well, Pat, and I agree with you, but 5 years without the playoffs,
yeah,
I don't know about year 6. But anyway, Sean Couturier, as you mentioned, listen, for all the grief he gets, and he's definitely not the same player he was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. 79 games played last year, which is pretty damn good after coming back from missing 2 years. 15 goals, 30 assists for 45 points. I'm actually pretty happy about his offensive production last year. If you look at these numbers, and he was a +1 on this team. And that's pretty damn impressive. Obviously not the numbers you're looking for a number true center, but no one said the captain has to be your number one center. No, there's nothing written that says your captain has to be the number one guy. I think he's definitely deserving of the position of captain. He is the most veteran player on this team, and he's a leader. So, you know what? Take it. You're the man. But, Couturier, Zegras, what do you do with them? 1, 2, and again, I get it. I get the rebuild. I understand that. Trust me, I'm 100% on board with a rebuild, but we're 3 years in. No number one center, no true number one goaltender. And, what I know we're drafting and we're building and all that. And I know that through hockey, free agency is not necessarily the way you build your championship teams. You build them through the draft. Absolutely. You develop within. But I don't know, Pat. I'm just I have a hard time envisioning who's the number one center on this hockey team.
It's hard to envision who your number one guy is going to be. I mean, do they even kick the tires and put Mitchkov and see what they got there. I don't know. Like you said, I see Mitchkov being on that line
Oh, Mitch
too.
Koff's a winger. Mitch Koff and Konechny are wingers, so they're not playing
but
center.
winger, but no. I'm sorry, but I mean, I to see what he's going to do with this franchise, I don't know. I mean, we don't have a true center. It's been a pain in the side. That, like you said, and your goaltender situation, and not to shift gears, but I think this is the make it or break it year for Sam Harrison. I think this is going to tell the Flyers organization if he has another horrible year, they're going to have to go build through the draft and get themselves a goaltender. It's not what you do in your top 3, top 4 pick, but they're going to have to kind of think outside the box and get themselves a lockdown goaltender in order build your team from inside out and start in order to move this franchise forward.
We'll get to the goaltender here in a second, Pat, because it's definitely an interesting topic that deserves being addressed. But Joe House says, I think the Flyers are going to be better. They got younger and faster. Joe, how did they get younger? Tell me who got younger. I don't see the young. I know there's some bubble players out there. There's the Gerbrakins, the Bonks, the Chenkos, the Bumps. There's some bubble guys, but I don't see where they got younger. They didn't get younger.
And Joe, Flyers always show you they got some flashes. They do this every October. They start real hot, but the time they hit November, they start to fade and they start to hit that rough patch. And then by November, it's usually their make or break it. Did they battle back or did they fade out into the evaporation? What happens with this franchise? And more times than not, this team is more likely out of it by January. So again, we're going to find out what this team can bring you come November. But again, I get it. He's looking at players like Mitchkov, like you mentioned, Tyson Forster.
Yeah, but they've been young. The Flyers have been young for the last 3 years, and that's part of the rebuild situation. But I see what he's saying, but not to say that they got younger through this season. He also said you would put Coots on the second line. Yeah, okay, sure, but I can also see you putting him on the first line. That's the problem, is that we don't have a true number one, and there's interchangeable. And one of the things that I used to bang my head against the wall with Tortorella was every game it was another new lineup, like new lineups, new lines on the lineup every night. Someone else is going here, someone else is going there. I know you make the in-game adjustments, obviously, but there was never any continuity on the lines. Everybody was moving up and down all over the place. And I guess that's part of trying to find where your footing is with a young hockey team. But the Flyers got rid of some of those players that weren't going to be here now, and now you're building with these guys. But I don't know, man. I don't know where you put them, but I do know where you put these next two guys. Let's talk a little bit about some of the heart and soul players of this organization. Travis Konechny coming up on his living off the life of that contract extension that he signed. Your number one offensive threat last year, Pat. I still think he could have been better off being traded, honestly, and it would have helped his team out a little bit more in the long run. But where do you stand on TK?
He actually had had a better year last year to me. 24 goals, 52 assists, 76 points. I mean, absolutely playmaker, and all, like you said, all that. It pays off for nothing. I mean, like, you got the big bank payday, absolutely, but I think his days of ever hosting a cup here is a far, far dream. It's never going to happen, unfortunately.
Well, I'm not going to say that. I think he could be the Couturier. He's probably going to be the next captain of this team because he's going to outage Couturier at some point, and then he'll probably be that veteran guy at the end of his career with the Flyers. And I hope if that is the case and the Flyers are close, they leave him around so that he can hoist the cup after all the service that he's provided. But yeah, 82 games played, which is the number one thing that jumps out about me about Konechny. Obviously, given the A, 24 goals, 52 assists, 76 points, but another putrid minus 17. And not that this is not indicative of everybody else in this hockey team, that they were just bad defensively and bad giving the puck away and just bad. It's bad. But you can't deny the fact that he is definitely a number one line guy, left wing or right wing. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter. you could be in a lot worse situations if you don't have a TK on your team. But I honestly do believe you could have been in a better situation, by moving him. Honestly, because as you said, what's he going to have left in the tank when we do win a Stanley Cup?
Yeah, he's pretty much going to be cooked at that point. I mean, again, one thing you take, he's got speed. He has quick accuracy. He releases the puck fast. But again, Father Time is going to play a role in his career at some point, and then what? And then you have nothing left. So, listen, kudos for him. He got the big payday. But again, it's really going to be all for nothing. At the time of his career, unfortunately. And I hope that I'm wrong.
All right, Pat, the next thing I want to talk about is the positive things that occurred last season. And the one thing that stands out, and maybe the only thing that stands out last season that was positive, was we identified a third line. We actually maybe figured out a third line, and that would be the Cates, Forrester, Brink line, which I don't think they have the luxury of keeping it together this year. I think Forrester is going to get moved up probably to the second line or maybe even the first line because we just don't have any talent, and they may have to break that line up. But let's talk about those three players together and how they work together. All three of them, maybe the exception of Bobby Brink, struggled last year, especially. I think another one of those players that just did not get along with Tortorella. But Forrester, Cates, and Brink together, a very pleasant surprise last season.
Tyson Forrester, 25 goals, 18 assists. I think there's some talent there. No, Cates obviously showing he's got something. He's got some kind of game. Bobby Brantley said struggle a little bit, but he's in one of those other players that out of October he comes out with a shoot, and then after that he kind of evaporates. But if he could stay, if he could play, if he could have a consistent game, I think, like you said, he'd be a-okay. And like you said, he's going to have to mix up some, him. Zikaris, all those other guys. But here goes Tyson Forrester's numbers right in front of you. He played 81 games. So again, played a bulk of the season, and that's what you get from him. So again, I think he's going to be, another rising coming stars. So again, it's him. You get the youth of him, Mitchkov, all those other guys, Cates, Bobby Brink, helping forward.
Yep, and there's Brink's numbers: 79 games, 12 goals, 29 assists, 41 points, and a -11. Why don't I have Noah Cates here? Noah, let me pull his stuff up. But again, I was happy to see that they found a line. I ain't gonna lie to you, they found a great something that you can definitely build in the future. It's a solid three. It's a solid third line that the Flyers could use going forward. I don't know, as I mentioned, I think that they don't have the latitude to maybe play them all together this year. They might have to break them up. There's Noah Cates, 78 games, 18 goals, 21 points, 37 assists, and a +3. As far as I'm not the biggest Tyson Forrester guy. I never really was, but I got to give him the props. He stepped forward offensively this year. We know he could do the dirty work. We know he can go into the corners. That's not what we brought him here to do, but he stepped up offensively, and he made a believer out of me, at least last year. And if the Flyers are going to be successful, Pat, in any way, shape, or form, it's going to be these players taking the next step. And everyone that I've mentioned, with the exception of Konechny, who's already taken that next step, but the Cates, the Forresters, the Brinks, the Tippetts, all those guys are going to have to up their game if the Flyers want to get to the playoffs, because that's it. This is what they're riding and dying with, these guys. This is your core, and these are the guys that are going to have to take that next step. Do they? I don't know. We'll get into that, but yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised about that line. A player who I honestly thought took a step backwards last year was this man right here.
Yes.
Owen Tippett, 77 games played, 20 goals, 23 assists, 43 points, a -12. If the man could actually hit the net at least twice a game with his shots, he probably had to be a 40-goal scorer. He disappeared in long stretches of the season last year. Kind of came on there at the end, a little bit in the beginning, but really disappeared for about 4 months. Again, if we're going to be good, it's players like Owen Tippett that got to step up.
No, I agree with you. Last year, or the year before rather, The Flyers were actually on their way to making it. They were sitting in the 6th seed for a good long while, and one of the reasons why is because of Owen Tippett in the year that he had. But like you said, last year he had a little pushback a year. Again, like you said, back at times he was in back of the milk carton and wasn't really there for you to provide any kind of production. So again, will he step up too? Will he come back to being that 2023 player? We'll have to see.
Yeah, and everybody who's watching at home, you are watching the Flyers 2025-26 season preview spectacular on the Clear the Ice, our post-game show for the Flyers here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Tonight's Tuesday, so the only thing I think on the docket tonight is me. I'll be coming at you a little bit later on at 10 o'clock with the final word. Was not on the air last night. I was sick yesterday. Could not get it together. So yeah, I'll be back tonight to kind of give you my spin up on all this stuff. We got a lot to talk about. Baseball playoffs began. A lot of managers are out of jobs. Phillies getting ready for their round. Eagles, all that. So we'll get into that at 10 o'clock tonight, but make sure that you're tuned in. Here is our schedule this week, real quick. So if you guys don't know, are you kidding me? I don't have the schedule up here. Oh my God, man. I am so sorry. I will bring the schedule up because it's supposed to be up. I don't know why it's not. Fire myself. But yeah, so I don't know why it's not up. Anyway, tonight's me. Tomorrow you got props, locks, and parlays. You also got the Pittsburgh Sports Desk, and you got me. Not me tomorrow night. No final word tomorrow night. Thursday night at 7 o'clock, the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. Then you got the Gridiron Weekly, then the Attacking Third, and then no me on Thursday night as well. I'm not going to be on the air tomorrow night either, or Thursday night either. And then Friday, the wraparound. Saturday, you got Penn State Happy Valley Huddle and the Phillies post-game show. And then we'll start this whole thing again next week. So make sure you're tuned in because we got you covered wherever you may be, Pat. All right, let's switch to the blue line. Another problem with the Flyers last season as we move deeper into this problem, we've already kind of hatched the egg with the offense saying that if these players, because there's really, I mean, we can add Christian Dvorak into this. This is the Flyers player they picked up in free agency, a journeyman who does provide some offensive pop for a fourth line guy. 82 games last year for the Canadians, 12 goals, 21 assists, 33 points, and a -5. And at one point during the preseason was rocking the A. I don't know if he's the permanent replacement of Scott Lawton or if he was just rocking at the Rocket. But Christian Dvorak is joining the Flyers for fray. He'll probably be definitely your fourth line guy. But offensively, there's no secret here. You're going to need step ups from everybody, with the exception of Travis Konechny, who needs to maintain. I know we didn't really get into Michkov, but let's get into him real fast and let's move on to the defense. First year in the league, I think he finished second in the Calder Cup, the Calder Trophy race, Rookie of the Year, was given to old boy out in San Jose. What's his name? Oh man, you know who I'm talking about. C. No, I know what his name. Come to me in a second. All right, talk about Michkov. What do you? What's your take on him?
No, I mean, listen, he was everything that you as advertised. 26 goals, 37 assists, 63 points. I mean, he played really, really well. I liked everything about his game. I mean, he showed you a lot, and he showed you he's got a complete upside. And what's he going to be in the next 5 to 10 years? I don't know, but I mean, his upside and his skill, the way he can handle the puck, the way he can shoot the puck, the way he has some incredible dekes. I liked everything about his game, and there was a game that he kind of needed a game rest where he needed to take a minute break, or he came back that much more hungrier. So that was one of the big pluses about Torella coaching him, is that he brought the dog out of this kid, and he was relentless. I liked everything about him.
Macklin Celebrini, goddamn it, is the guy's name. Number one overall pick last year. Oh, now I forgot that. 80 games for Michkov, 26 goals, 37 assists, 63 points, and a healthy -18. I'm going to give all these guys passes on the plus minus because the Flyers are just bad. But Michkov definitely has the ability. He took his game easily from the KHL to the NHL, and now it's just a matter of him developing that game into an NHL superstar, which generational, I don't think so, but a 50-goal scorer, potentially, yes. 40, 45-goal scorer, yes, absolutely. Whether or not we put the right sort of supporting cast around him, like we have a problem doing with anybody in this town, is open to discussion.
If you could get, you mentioned way earlier, Zegras, Christian Dvorak. If you look at their numbers, yeah, they don't have great goaling numbers, but they're each averaging 20 assists. Now, again, they could look like they're going to be able to facilitate him the puck, get him the puck, and hopefully get him some good looks where he can shoot. And now, like I said, I'm being optimistic. Hopefully this is going to be something. And this is me putting my orange sunglasses on and hoping that this is going to become something. That's the only thing that's, like I said, on this team, if you're a 20-point, 20 assist leader, you're deserving the payday here.
Well, if Christian Dvorak is giving Michkov the puck, then something drastically has gone wrong because Dvorak would be playing way up on the lines there. But I agree with Zebras. Zebras is going to have, that opportunity. Couturier is going to have that opportunity, and so is Konechny. Who knows? Maybe Jetlichenko gets that opportunity, but someone needs to take that opportunity and give him the puck as much as he can. You're right. All right, Pat, let's now go to the blue line because this might be one of the, as we move into the dark cave of the recesses of the Flyers' problems, we're going to go with the defense. Just awful. In a singular word to describe the Flyer defense last season, awful. Everybody regressed. There was no, and don't give me Sanheim. I think Sanheim's smoking mirrors, honestly. But I think everybody regressed in a big way. Cam York, terrible season. Jamie Drysdale just never lived up to the expectations. Ristolainen, until he got hurt and then gone. Now still gone. Nick Seeler, maybe the brightest spot on that defense, and he's the seventh defender. So I'm getting a little concerned there. But Pat, overall, defensively, the Flyers definitely lacked it, and the goaltending was sort of paid the price ultimately for the lack of defense.
Yeah, again, there's only so many times Nick Seeler can put his body on the line and use it as a bulletproof vest, but no, I mean, like you said, again, I know we're 2 years now on from him, but it showed you we needed Sean Walker. And when Sean Walker left, it showed you the price you paid, and it's still a glimmering hole there because there is no one that knows how to do an assignment of guarding and all that stuff. Like you said, Travis Sanheim might be one of the most overrated players in all Philadelphia sports. I mean, I don't know exactly what he does on this team. I'm still trying to figure out who he can guard. I mean, I know he's somehow the Flyer sheep. He's a Flyer sheep fan favorite. I don't get it. I don't like it. He doesn't do anything for me, but I don't know. I guess people think the last name's cool. I guess I don't know. I don't know what he does here.
Yeah, let's break this down by the combos. Sanheim, 82 games last year, played 8 goals, 22 assists, 30 points, and a -6. And honestly, the only time I knew Sanheim was on the ice, and it was a lot, it was when I saw the number 6 staring at me in the TV because he was out of position, trying to get back, trying to pivot away from a bad angle or something. It's just, listen, defensively, Travis Sanheim is what he is. Now, they love him. He's loved around hockey. I mean, he might be a Olympian for Team Canada this year. He was with the Four Nations Canadian team last year. People love him. I don't know what he does, but they love him. And we gave him the big contract, so I guess we love him too. But this was our number 1 defense, and then his partner on the other side of that was a guy that I'm extremely high on, who had a dreadful season, Cam York, in and out of John Tortorella's doghouse all season long. 66 games played, 4 goals, 13 assists, 17 points, and a -8. And a really bad defensive season from Cam York. A very bad. Like, he took steps backwards in his defensive abilities last season. I remember going on multiple video breakdowns about dissecting Cam York's poor defensive technique. I still am on the Cam York go bus. I still think he's going to be a good player, and I hope that Rick Tocchet is the one that brings it out of him. But this is your number 1 tandem, Cam York and Travis Sanheim, and this is what's going to be number 1 going on into this season, Pat. Defensively, they leave a lot to be, declared, and offensively, they're not performing either. So how confident are you in this group as your number 1 pairing?
No, I'm not. This is why you're going through a rebuild. This is what it is. Like you try and get yourself, you're trying to find yourself a little optimistic about that offense. You're looking at Mitchkov, you're looking at
Yeah, but
some of the
Pat,
young,
these guys are the rebuild
but
players. Cam York and Travis, they're
but
going with them.
right,
These are not getting rid of these guys. These are the guys.
right. So at some point, this is where Danny's got to take off, and just look at it. This is sink or swim. These guys are not swimming; they're sinking. They showed you they cannot play the position. Like I mentioned earlier, a glaring hole since Sean Walker has walked off the ice, since he's not coming back here and he's not coming through that door anytime soon. So no, there's a glaring hole there. These guys are not doing their assignments, and it's hurting. It's hurting real bad.
Yep. All right, moving on to the second pairing. Let's go with the man, the myth, the legend. He is Jamie Drysdale. 70 games played, 7 goals, 13 assists, 20 points, and a minus 30 friggin' 2. How in the hell do you accumulate a minus 32 on a National Hockey League team? That tells you everything you need to know about Mr. Drysdale. Now, again, I am still on the positive train with Jamie Drysdale. I still love his vertical and lateral game. I love the way he moves the puck. I love the way he quarterbacks a power play. He is a very good threat to have up on the line. He's, of course, a right-handed defenseman. He's the unicorn. You need as many of those guys as you can get. But when I look at the trade, the infamous trade, the Cutter Gauthier move, Gauthier finished 3rd in the Calder Cup trophy balloting for Rookie of the Year. Had himself an amazing rookie season with the Ducks. I'm starting to think we got taken to the bank a little bit because I'm not feeling Drysdale right now, and this would be year 3 for him, 3rd full season as a Flyer. He was relatively healthy last year, so I gotta give him more time because I love the right-handed defenseman. I love his ability as a right-handed defenseman. But Pat, a minus 32, it's hard to give any sort of props to that.
No, there's no props to that. A minus 32. No, that's not good at all. And again, just because he came in from that deal, and we all know what happened then. You're just hoping for him being the winner out of that trade, and it's not looking like it's paying off. Unfortunately, not yet. And hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully, and I keep on using that word yet. So that yet has a leash on it too. So we'll see we're gonna have to see what happens there.
Hopefully it works out. Now his partner for most of the season was the other criminal on this team stealing money from the Flyers, and that's Rasmus Ristolainen. 63 games played, 4 goals, 15 assists, 19 points, and a +3. I got to give Risto a little props here. I thought he was putting together a pretty good season until he got hurt, but that's another problem with this guy. He's been in the league 13 years and has not played a full season since the 2015-2016 season. So, I don't know why you gave the guy an 8-year contract, Chuck Fletcher, but Ristolainen will start the season on IR, probably join the Flyers at some point in November as he's recovering from that triceps injury he suffered late last season. But he leaves a huge hole there on the left side of the number 2 pairing. I don't know, Pat. I don't know where you stand on Risto, but I'm not that I'm listen. I would love to move him at the earliest convenience, but he was putting together a pretty decent season before the injury.
Yeah, but I find myself happier when he's not on the ice, and that sounds cruel, but he's another one. What do you do that's amazing on defense? I've yet to see anything where I get excited watching him on defense, and to be honest, like I said, I find myself more happier when I don't see him in the lineup because I feel like some reason this team's clicking better. Playing better defense, and it's weird because, like I said, when we brought him in from Buffalo, I'm thinking, all right, he's going to have some kind of game and all that, and nothing paid off. I know, like I said, to me, again, I feel like this franchise is better without.
Yeah, especially with the money you're paying him. Now let's go to the third pairing, which is this right now is a, de facto, your next man up, we'll try you out this week kind of situation. But one player who definitely does keep people attentive here, and that's Nick Seeler. I got to give it to him, man. 77 games last year, limited roles. he's not starting. He's being told to be a healthy scratch. Doesn't really seem to care. Did get a contract from the Flyers. That's good. 77 games, 3 goals, 17 assists, 20 points, and a healthy plus 10. Wow. Stop the presses. Plus 10 for Nick Seeler last year. We're going to ask Nick to do a lot more in 2025-26 because of no Ristolainen and question marks with the other defensemen, which we'll talk about in a second. I'm okay with Seeler. He's a spark plug guy. Every team needs a Seeler, right?
Yeah, everyone needs a Sealer, and we all know he will take a puck for his goaltender no matter what. He'll be the one to lay himself on the line, to get himself hurt. A true Iron Man of this game, and I love everything that he brings. He's that spark off the bench. Plug and play him off the bench. He'll come in. He'll do what you got to do. If you want to healthy scratch him, that's on you. But I love his game.
I love his game too. Now let's go to the other guys on defense. Emil Andre, one of the players. Actually, the next group of players is players that the Flyers are really hoping to God they take the next step. Andre, 42 games, 1 goal, 6 assists, 7 points, and a -5. There was a time he got called up multiple times throughout the season. The first time he got called up, he had himself a real strong couple, 3-4 games. Then it fell off a cliff, and he never recaptured that. He got sent back down, was called back up, just never recaptured that. But he showed promise, Pat. The Emil Andre type of player, and what I mean by that is a former draft pick that's been toiling around either in junior hockey or in our minor league system for a few years now. There's no more time to wait on some of these guys. It's time now to put up or shut up. And I think Emil Andre is in a put up or shut up type of season this year.
I agree. Again, he's floated around the Phantoms. He's floated around floated around the Flyers. And again, he looks like he could be something. But then other times, this is why you're a Phantom player. And again, there's a couple of these guys, like you said, it's put up or shut up time. Are you here to be a Flyer? Or are you here for a check? I don't know, but it's time to get the bang for their buck now. Some of these guys.
Igor Zamula is the other one. I didn't waste my time putting together a graphic for him. I can't stand this guy, but I think he's left. I think honestly they kept him around because he speaks Russian and English, and he was the translator for Mishkov. Other than that, I don't know really what else he did for this hockey team. Just a terrible defenseman. Didn't deserve to be on this team, in my opinion. I hope he doesn't even make the team out of camp. Honestly, I don't want him to, but the Flyers are definitely in a bind when it comes to defense. The next player I do want to talk about is a projected hopeful. Oliver Bonk is projected to be in the Flyer organization. His time with the London Knights is over. He is going to make that jump from major junior hockey to the pros. More than likely, probably will start down in Lehigh, but Bonk, another high draft pick. Expectations on him are high. I would love for him to make the team out of camp, but we need some help on the blue line. Bonk is not a defenseman's defenseman, though. He is definitely in that smaller size, offensively minded defenseman, but he brings a lot of scoring ability and puck handling ability and leadership, to a depleted blue line. So, Pat, the defense heading into this season, I don't know if they've gotten better. I think they fall in line with the offense. It's just waiting to see if players take the next step.
Yeah, and that's all you could do. It's that kind of mood where it's whether these guys are willing to take this next step. And if they don't, the big question is, what's Danny going to do from there? What's he going to do? What can he do from there? It's going to be the big question.
Well, the big question for me is our next topic, and that's, of course, the goalies. The friggin' anchor around the neck of every Flyer fan that's ever put on an orange sweater. Sam Ersson and Alexei Kovalsov, Ivan Fedotov. I don't even know who else played up there, but there was a whole bunch of guys that made their run through the Flyers last year in light of the Carter Hart situation. Carter Hart, of course, had to leave, and now he's kind of back in the NHL. He'll be eligible to sign with the team on December 1st if the team wants him. Flyers have said they're thank you, but no, which I agree. I think that's a PR nightmare right now for Carter Hart, even though he has been found not guilty by a jury of his peers. But I get the reason why you might want to stay away from him. And I honestly don't think he was all that in a bag of chips to begin with. So whatever. But Sam Ersson, Dan Vladar, the fresh signee from the Calgary Flames, and Alexei Kovaslov will probably be the top three goalies battling out for time this year. They'll only be able to carry two, but let's talk Sam Ersson first. Heading into the season, the job was his to lose, and I think he lost it. 47 games played, 22-17 with a 3.41 goals against average and a putrid 8.33 save percentage. That's not starting goalie in the NHL.
No, and 5 overtimes. And again, I know a lot of guys, especially old heads, like if you talk with Joe Watson, he really, or Jimmy Watson, he really likes Sam Ersson. But to me, like you said, this was his job, and he lost it. He lost it. I don't know if the pressure or not having the pressure, having that 1-1A goalie like he had with Carter Hart, kind of pushing be a better goaltender. But because the guys behind him were not going to give him any kind of push for that. I don't know what happened to Sam Ersson, because for 2 years I was hyped on Sam Ersson being a big X factor for the Flyers, and I was wrong about it. Definitely last year proved it.
Yeah, I don't think he lost the starting job last year. He just didn't win it, and that's the major problem. Yeah. I think the expectation of him going into the season was he wasn't going to win the job, and so I'm not looking at it that he lost it. He just didn't win it, and he had an opportunity, and he just failed to capitalize on it. Now, Ivan Fedotov has been traded. Kudos to Danny B for flipping that guy for a 6th-round draft pick to the Blue Jackets. That's outstanding. I don't know how he did that, but Fedotov's gone. Kolbasev remains, but he's not going to be your primary or your 1B or whatever backup. I don't know what we're calling him, 1A, 1B. But your 1B, 1A, or your backup is going to be Dan Vladar, formerly of the Calgary Flames. Played last night, played well, actually, against the Boston Bruins. 30 games last year for Calgary, 12-11 for 2.80 goals against average. But another subpar 0.898 save percentage. Pat, he's proven he can come in and spot, but I don't really see much more than a glorified Sam Ersson here.
Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Again, if you listen to Mike Lara, he wasn't a fan of them. He doesn't get the signing of this, and like you said, he's much more than Sam Ersson 2.0.
Yeah, and he's going to vie for time. And as we wrap this show up, all this is going to factor in where I think this team's headed this year. But you mentioned something earlier on. I do want to correct you. And I have to, because I would be negligent to do that. The Flyers have invested in goalie capital for the future. They've selected 2 goaltenders in back-to-back rounds in the 2023 draft. Carson Bjornsson in the 2nd round, and then Igor Zarajin in the 3rd round. Now, Bjornsson made the jump at the end of last season from the Brandon Wheat Kings of the Western Hockey League to the Phantoms, and it was actually part of their playoff push last year. Played well. He will probably be your starter down there in Lehigh Valley. And then Igor Zarajin should be wrapping up his time in the MHL this year in the KHL, and hopefully be coming over and maybe in the spring to get his opportunity. Pat, that is obviously what the Flyers' plan is, to give these next 2 guys their chance to step up and be that guy. Is it the right plan? I don't know, but you've invested high draft capital in goalies in back-to-back rounds in the 2nd and 3rd round, which is unheard of in constructing a hockey team, unless you're really high on these prospects. But again, is it the right plan? Time will tell, but it's not going to help us out this year.
No, and what you're riding with this year, it's only telling you this is we're mediocre at best team again. So again, you'll probably dwell around the 3rd or 4th team from the bottom of the Metropolitan Division, like you did last year, and that's what we'll be. And anything, listen, a lot of Flyer fans I've talked to are trying to be optimistic. They're waiting for the page to turn. They're waiting for the page to turn for this franchise.
Talking about a page turner, the Flyers last year under John Tortorella in the 60 some odd games, 70 whatever games he had, 73 games. They were a gaudy 26 for 190 on the power play for a 13.6% Under Brad Shaw, though, for the final 9 games of the year, remarkably better, 6 for 24 for 25%. So that might have been a sign of the reins loosening a little bit. But since the 2021-2022 season, the Flyers have gone 125 for 918 on the power play for a healthy 13.6% effective rate. Pat, we actually improved last year on the power play from like 12.2 the year before that to 13 point whatever it is last year. This team can't put they cannot score goals with on the advantage. They just don't. They're one of the worst in the history of the National Hockey League over this stretch of time on the power play.
Yeah, which is weird because they're one of the best shorthanded goal scoring teams in the league. But yeah, it's last year. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that was a Torts thing last year or I don't know. But I mean, and they had a lot of opportunities, but a lot of opportunities were not paid off as far as power play wise. Like you said, they got a little better last year, but again, that was a head scratcher with this squad as far as not finding back net with the man advantage, and that's how you knew that was one of the seasons. Yeah, that was the writing on the walls right then and there when we just couldn't score with the man advantage.
And going into this season, and by the way, on the shorthanded goals, the Flyers scored 4 shorthanded goals last year, but the year before that, they went off for 16 shorthanded goals. Now,
yeah.
That was crazy, but that also lays into the issues with the giveaways, and also I don't want to get into that, but they were bad on giveaway. They gave the puck away chronically last year, like one of the worst in the history of the NHL. But the power play, it's all about execution. I don't care. The coach ain't doing crap. The coach tells you what he sees from the bench, and he tries to let you know what he's seeing. The end of the day is the players on the ice got to execute, and the Flyers just don't have the horses in the barn to do that. They don't have those players right now. Now, again, this year's all going to be about players stepping up and taking that next step. But if you can't goddamn put the puck in the net on the man advantage for less than 13% of the time, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know where you go from there. So I don't want to hear no more about the power play coach. I don't want to hear about put the damn puck in the net or get the players here they can do it.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, man. Like you said, the lack of talent, and it comes back to talent. We don't have it. We just again, we are just being optimistic. It's October. It's the Flyer season. We're getting hockey back, and we should be a little excited and see what this team can do. But roughly, like I said earlier, when November comes around and when the contenders of the NHL are standing out and the bottom feeders eventually find themselves out, this is what it is. This is unfortunately this is what it is. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this team will shock the world. And hopefully,
all right, Pat. Well, I want you to shock the world right now because I want you to wrap this up. I want you to summarize what you think is going to happen with the Flyers this year. You don't got to give me a win-loss. You don't got to give me any of that. Give me what you see, what you think you're going to see, and then are they going to make the playoffs? And if so, how far do they go?
I don't see this team making the playoffs. They'll hover around the wild card, that 8th seed. I think that year one under Torts will get the best of their buck. Obviously, they're going to be like sponges and listen to his word, and getting the major difference between him and Torella. He's also a coach that people want to play for, all that fun stuff, and see where this team's going to go from that. But I think that ultimately they are just going to hover around the 8th seed. I don't see them making to the postseason again, playoffs again. So. But again, looking at Rick Tockett's track record, again, he coached for I believe 9 years. He's only made to the playoffs twice. I mean, he's not really what you call a winnable coach. I mean, he took Vancouver to the second round. That's about it. That was early in his tenure, and he took the Coyotes to the playoffs for one round. But I don't know. I know at the time I was begging this past summer to get Mike Sullivan in here, but hey, listen, it is what it is. And like I said, I just think, going back to your question, I think they'll hover around the 8th seed.
So I have a less I don't want to use the word less optimistic, but I honestly I don't know. This season, year 3 of a rebuild. I think I enter this year more confused about the Flyers than I've entered any of the other previous two. I honestly don't know what to expect from this hockey team. I think there's a bunch of. I think the motto should be step up. I mean, if they can, if all the players we talked about tonight, and we threw in the whole, they got to step up. If they do step up and they take that next step, you could be looking at something special this year. It could be a nice wild ride into the playoffs. But there is a lot of uncertainty around what this team can be on the ice. And again, I know they said it this summer. Danny Briere and Jones said that, and even Dan Hilfery said it. It's not measured on making the playoffs at this point. They're still not measuring success by making the playoffs right now. They're measuring success on improvement. And I know that's not what fans want to hear. I don't want to hear it either, but it's a rebuild, and it's only the third year. I know there's no timeline, and I love to know what's the appropriate time to wait for a rebuild to work. There is none. Players got to step up, and players got to take that next step. There's no great saviors here. We don't have a number one centerman. We have no true starting goalie. We got questions all over the defense. I don't see anything optimistic about making the playoffs with this team. But again, I don't see anything about being pessimistic either, because there's so much uncertainty. Players could step up. The Oliver Bonks, the Jet Lechenkos, the Denver Barkeys, those guys, the Grebenkins, those guys, somebody could come out of that group and be the next greatest thing. One of these players could finally hit. I don't know. It's going to be a game-by-game season for me, and that's how I'm living this year. I'm not looking out at nothing. I don't care what's happening around them. It's about what's in front of them and taking it one game at a time. And if you're going to corner me, though, I think the Flyers will miss the playoffs for a franchise record 6th straight season. And
Matt,
will leave us a lot of questions heading into the summer.
Well, then, Matt, I'm going to have to ask the question: when do you start pulling on the dog leash of Danny Briere? When do you start pulling on it like, hey, I'm not getting?
It's a legit question.
Pushing it.
It's a legit question, and I think that the sands of the hourglass began to wear out this summer. I thought a lot of fans expected more with a little bit more money that they had. Now, Keith Jones did say just because we had some money doesn't mean we got to spend it all. They'll have more money next summer. They got more draft picks coming, not as much as they had last year. But, you got other prospects in the pipeline. Of course, this year's draft class, which we'll get no production from this year from them guys, as they're all gone down to junior hockey or the college level. So there's more money out there next year. And it sounds like they're already preparing us for that prospect, that it's going to be another one of these years where you're like, they're just that far away. And but to answer your question, I don't know. It's hard for me to judge the guy when there's nothing here. And yeah, I do believe them with the salary issues. The salary cap was a mess. It's taken a long time to get that thing under control. And now it's going to start working out a little bit. Now they're going to have opportunities to bring in their own guys. But I'm not judging this year's free agent class. It's Christian Dvorak and a bunch of tweeners, man. There ain't nothing else there. There was no needle movers there. The Zebras trade could be huge, or it could be just another miss. But they're going to have more money. They're going to have the most money next year than they've had in a long time to spend in free agency. The draft class, the free agent class, of course, highlighted by Connor McDavid, which he'll never make it to free agency. He's going to get locked up at some point by the Oilers, but he's the headliner next year of the free agency class. So I don't know, Pat. I got to wait until there's no more excuses to be given to him, like the money. That's a big one.
Yeah.
I would probably give him next year. And by year 4, if they're not in the playoffs, you got to start looking at something else.
Yeah, and like you said at the top of the hour, despite whether he used to wear the sweatshirt or not, and I know that drives people nuts because, it's another Flyer guy. Look, they're going to make the moves that they're going to want to make the moves. I'm giving Danny the benefit of the doubt, and Keith Jones. I'm not leaving him out the circle either, because he's around the league. He's obviously commentating, so he knows the players, knows everyone around it. I would imagine they're going to try to turn this into a winning franchise. I just don't know when that's coming. That's the bad part. And I think a lot of Flyer fans like myself got that little teaser 2 years ago when they were hovering around the 6th seed and the wheels fell off the whole Carl Hart thing. And, we all know the story. So I think that hard because I thought right then and then it was the quick turnaround. And no, there's still the Taj Mahal still needs a lot of work.
It does, but and again, I asked this to you at the top of the show. What's a rebuild? And in your words, what's the patience level of a fan base for a rebuild? The organization was in despair. It was Chuck Fletcher. What was that guy's name that was in charge before him? Like the Comcast guy, Dave Scott. What was his name? Dave Scott.
Yeah.
They ran the organization into the ground. Bad trades, bad signings, and not just them. It was Hextall, huge part of that.
Holmgren.
Yeah, right. I mean, the franchise was, they lost the trust of the community. They were doing things the wrong way. The culture was bad. And it wasn't like Danny B and Keith Jones stepped into a bad hockey team. No, they stepped into a bad organization and they had to rebuild everything at the same time, And you got to be patient with that. You do. And I don't think we all know the level of how bad it was with the Flyers. And I think that's part of why we get frustrated because we're like, come on, man, it's been 3 years. Why can't you get back in the playoffs? But I need more. I need to see more from the product on the ice. And the draft picking, which, I'm so tired of every year. It's like, okay, well, when is this guy coming? When is this guy going to be ready? And that's what hockey is, though. Hockey is not instant gratification. If you're not picking a guy 1, 2, or 3, then he's going into the minor leagues or he's going to junior. It's just the way it is. There's not too many 1% of 1%ers of hockey players out there. So it's a very small group of players to choose from. But, at some point, man, we got to start getting some yield from these draft picks. And it starts this year.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, like I said, there could be some pluses. Hopefully we'll see something that's going to work out for this team. Again, just trying to really believe in this squad. I know there's a lot of glaring holes on the defense and the goaltending, and that's usually if you don't have decent defensive goaltending, that usually does your season for what it is. I don't care how many goals you put on the back of net. You're going to have to try and match that with all the goals that you dropped. So. Yeah, hopefully we can just, brace somewhat of a decent season.
All right, Pat, I am going to let's wrap this bad boy up. Where can people find you, man?
Hey, listen, you don't have to look no further. I'm right here. It's Arrest Sports. You guys can catch me Sunday. You catch me for all the fighting finals. Sundays, you catch me for the PM and the AM show at 9 a.m. You guys can also catch me Friday nights for the wraparound, and then of course Thursday nights the Attacking Third, talking all union soccer. Again, for just riding solo, but it's okay. But just got a lot of work going on and so forth. Yeah, so just gonna keep on working hard.
That's all you can do, folks. And of course, you can find me. Or before I tell you where you can find me, let's take a look at this. I found it. I think is this the right one? Yes, it is. This is our schedule for the week. So, Pat, Ricky wants to tell you that he's watching.
Thank you, Ricky.
So tonight you got this was a kind of a last minute thing because I realized my schedule next week is not going to support me doing a pregame show or preview show, so I had to get on this. So tonight you will have me at the 10 o'clock hour for the final word. Tomorrow you got prop locks and parlays, the Pittsburgh Sports Desk, and there is no final word with me tomorrow. That has been canceled. Thursday, you got the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. Thursday, 7 o'clock. That's probably not going to happen either. Then you got the Gridiron Weekly, the Attacking Third, and you will not have me tomorrow at 10 o'clock. The wraparound is at 10:30 on Friday. And then you got Phillies and whoever they're going to play on Saturday with the Titans final, and then Penn State, UCLA. So some things have changed. I gotta leave town tomorrow for a few days. So I'm not gonna have an opportunity to do much of anything. We're gonna try to get the Birds Blast in on another night, maybe Friday or Saturday. But I'm gonna be gone until Tuesday. So so that's why no final word. So sorry. You can blame me later. But you can also find me here on the Israel Sports Network. But Pat, it's going to be you, me, and Mike right now going through the Clear the Ice season 4 of Clear the Ice. Just like in the Fight and Spano where we've had 4 seasons and made the playoffs all 4 years, let's not go through 4 years of Clear the Ice and not make the playoffs, because that's what we're trending towards, as we have never had an April show on Clear the Ice. We have had one, actually, and that was because the Flyers were in the thing to the end. But let's hope we have a better season. It's the playoffs. The fans deserve it, man. Give them something to cheer for in April, and play your playoff hockey back in Philadelphia. There's not a snowball's chance in hell they win the cup. I get that, but you can make the playoffs, and let's try to do that. But a lot of question marks on this team. A lot of players need to step up, Pat, and we'll be here to bring you all of that starting on Thursday, October 9th. I am on the call. Flyers, Panthers. You got the call on the 11th, right, Pat, against the
yes, sir. I'm excited.
Yep. Let me bring that up because I do have that done. That's right here. Let me see. We only did the first 2 games because that's all we have for that first 2 weeks. But here you go. Here is your first 2 games of the Flyers season. I have you on the 9th, and Pat has you on Saturday, the 11th. So we're going to get this thing going in about 9 days, Pat. Thanks for joining me, Pat. Thanks for joining me, everybody out there. Let's go Flyers, and we'll see you post game.
See you.